Hi, Paractown Weather Meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, June 28th. A lot to talk about this morning. First, we'll talk a little bit about the tropical situation, a couple different waves we're monitoring. Then we'll get into the extreme heat over the Pacific Northwest, where there has been some all-time high temperature records set this past weekend. Unusually cool weather for the Central Plains, and hot weather, hot and humid weather for the northeastern part of the nation as well. It looks like the 90s, well up in the 90s for the next 3 days in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Then it gets cooler later in the week and into the upcoming weekend in the northeastern part of the nation. And a huge chunk of the nation will see significant rainfall over the next 5 to 7 days or so. So we'll talk about that as well. First of all, on the tropical scene, we have a wave right here approaching the South Carolina, Georgia border area. It's moving slowly to the west-northwest. Could actually intensify into a tropical storm. Certainly will enhance the rainfall in this part of the nation over the next day or two. This is the tropical wave that exited off of the west coast of Africa last week. It's something that we're keeping a close eye on. It is managing to survive so far over some relatively cool waters of the eastern tropical Atlantic, and it will tend to become increasingly under more favorable conditions as it pushes farther and farther to the north and west. So this is something we talked about last week in the longer term that will have to be monitored again over some relatively cool waters right now, but it'll turn warmer and warmer in terms of relative to normal for the sea surface temperatures. So once it gets into this position, it'll be something to monitor closely, assuming it does survive over the next few days, and I think it will. Well, before we get into last night's operational run of the GFS, the 6C run, let's take a look here at the next 7 days. This is from NOAA's WPC branch, the prediction center for the total rainfall amounts over the next 7 days, and a lot of the eastern two-thirds of the nation will see significant rainfall all the way from the southwestern states across the heartland and into the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. You even see some rain here over the interior southwest, kind of a monsoonal flow, an east or southeast flow of air over the next few days, and there'll be increasing chances for showers and thunderstorms in the Arizona high terrain and even down in the lower part of the state of Arizona and the eastern part of California. Watch out for some monsoonal type rainfall over the next few days. Meanwhile, the Pacific Northwest, right in this region, dominated by tremendously strong high pressure aloft. It's contributing to dry weather and extreme heat. Again, some all-time records have been set there. Portland, for example, I believe unofficially reached 112 degrees yesterday, their all-time record high. Seattle could see similar type of numbers, all-time record highs out there. Meanwhile, out in the northeast, very humid over the next few days, hot as well. And the second half of the week, really from Wednesday on, could produce some heavy rainfall in the northeast as it transitions between the hot and humid of the next few days and cooler conditions for the latter part of the week and the upcoming holiday weekend. Well, let's kind of break down this pattern by looking first at the 500 millibar forecast maps from last night's 6E GFS model run. First of all, we've talked about this for days now. Just an intense upper level ridge centered over British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest, leading to extreme heat out in this part of the nation, all the way from British Columbia across Washington and Oregon. Again, Portland unofficially broke their all-time record high temperature yesterday of 112. Seattle could see all-time record highs as well. But notice out here, middle part of the nation, kind of an unusual time of the year to see an upper level troughing or lower heights than normal, and this is leading to cooler than normal conditions out in this part of the nation. And the fact that this intense high pressure is so far to the north is really allowing for a kind of an east or southerly flow of air into this part of the nation, and again, could be some monsoonal type rainfall, especially over the higher terrain in the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And there's also a Pacific hurricane that will feed in some moisture as well to Baja California and Arizona and even parts of California and perhaps even southern Nevada as well. Notice also here in the Northeast, higher heights than normal, and this is contributing to a kind of a heat wave here in DC, Philadelphia, New York City the next 3 days for sure, in the 90s with high humidity and increasing chance of showers and thunderstorms. That chance for showers and thunderstorms certainly increases by midweek and then is quite high Thursday and Friday and going into the upcoming weekend. And I do think significant rainfall is on the table for the latter part of the week in the northeastern part of the nation. So let's now move forward here with these forecast maps. And again, a 3-day heat wave here Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday up in this part of the nation, and the intense heat continues another day or two out in the British Columbia, Pacific Northwest. And then we'll see kind of a change in the pattern by the upcoming week, and we see this upper level low dropping southward across the Great Lakes by the end of the week. This is the Friday morning forecast map. Still hotter than normal across the northwestern part of the nation and the southern part of Canada. But this is an interesting setup here. It's not quite sure yet whether it drops due south or a little bit to the south and east. Eventually, cooler than normal conditions will spread from the Midwest all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region over the upcoming holiday weekend, thanks to this anomalous upper level low here. Again, it does shift to the Mid-Atlantic region by the time we get to the 4th of July, which is Sunday, and the holiday itself. So we do have some cooler conditions coming to much of the Midwest, the Great Lakes for sure, Mid-Atlantic region by the end of the weekend, especially over the upcoming weekend following hot and humid weather for the next few days. Well, with that height pattern aloft, how does that translate to temperatures at the 850 millibar level? Well, look at this. This is some 30 plus degrees above normal over the British Columbia, the northwestern part of the nation. Here is off the scales here, really. Look at this, 28 degrees above normal right now over the Pacific Northwest. Again, a brutally hot day today. Seattle, Portland, all of Washington and Oregon and southwestern part of Canada. But just to the east, look at this, a pretty large area below normal temperatures and hotter than normal in the Northeast. Not quite as intense relative to normal as the Pacific Northwest, but nonetheless, really the first extended type of 3-day period anyway here of temperatures well up in the 90s with high humidity in DC, Philadelphia, New York City. Maybe one other stretch is comparable, but this is kind of unusual compared to what we've had for June. June has been a relatively normal month in much of the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, let's push forward here and watch the big changes here by the upcoming weekend. Still Tuesday, brutally hot day across the Pacific Northwest, British Columbia, but still below normal across some of the southwestern part of the nation into the Central Plains. Remains up in the 90s in the urban corridor through midweek here. Then we get into the upcoming weekend. We saw that upper level low dropping southward, and here we are by Friday morning. Cooler than normal conditions really extend from the Great Lakes all the way to New England as that upper level low drops southward, and this is very likely going to be the type of pattern that we see this upcoming weekend. That is cooler than normal over the middle part of the nation and probably extending all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region, at least for the latter half of the upcoming weekend, but perhaps for the entire weekend. This may be underdone right here. It's relatively close to normal. Certainly there's a chance that we'll be below normal in the Mid-Atlantic region even at the beginning of the upcoming weekend. We'll monitor that over the next few days. Still well above normal across some of the northwestern part of the nation and across Canada, but a large area below normal just in time for the upcoming holiday weekend. This is Monday afternoon, which will be a federal holiday. 4th of July is on Sunday. Well, let's now walk through the surface forecast maps, and again, a substantial portion of the eastern 2/3 of the nation will see significant rainfall over the next 5 to 7 days or so, including in the northeast U.S. Here's a reflection of that tropical system right now off the coast of South Carolina. It could become a tropical storm over the next 6 to 12 hours or so as it moves right to the coastline, enhancing the rainfall down there. Not much going on in terms of rainfall today in the urban I-95 corridor region. Maybe a slight chance for a shower and thunderstorm, but for the most part just hot and humid with some sunshine up in the 90s here. But out across the middle of the nation, significant rainfall. There's, again, cooler than normal conditions out over the Rockies, the Central Plains, and warmer than normal, well above normal in the northeast, and intense heat in the northwest. So in between there's some significant rainfall. Indeed, that'll be the pattern. And here we have a Pacific hurricane, Enrique, that will spread some moisture, not only kind of a monsoonal flow out of the southeast into the southwestern part of the nation, but add in some tropical moisture from this hurricane, certainly for Baja California, northwestern Mexico, but also for southern Arizona and southern California over the next few days. Let's move forward here. This is the Wednesday evening forecast map, and I think the chances for showers and thunderstorms will really increase by Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, as compared to today and tomorrow. Certainly, by the middle part of the week, any thunderstorm can produce some torrential rain in this part of the nation, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast. The precipitable water will be very high, and that kind of a threat for significant rainfall certainly extends into Thursday and Friday as well throughout the northeastern quadrant of the nation. Look at this, kind of a monsoonal pattern here for Wednesday into Thursday out in the southwestern part of the nation. Certainly higher terrain areas have a chance for some flooding downpours, maybe some scattered showers and heavier thunderstorms in this part of the nation over the middle part of the week. And then we go into the upcoming weekend. And the GFS, this is a Thursday evening forecast map, again showing the signs of heavy rainfall, and I do believe that will be the case in the Mid-Atlantic region. A threat for significant rainfall later Thursday, later Wednesday, later Thursday, later Friday as well. Let's in fact go into the upcoming weekend. This is the Friday evening forecast map as we get into the upcoming weekend. Heavy rainfall right along the I-95 corridor region. And here it gets a little bit more difficult to say exactly where the rainy pattern will set up for the weekend. If in fact that upper level low dies to the south, and that is a possibility, it kind of ends up over the Midwest, that increases the chance for rainfall not only Saturday but perhaps Sunday as well in the Mid-Atlantic region, and cooler conditions that go along with that threat of rainfall. And eventually that upper level low does slide to the east, so an unsettled and cooler weather pattern very likely for the upcoming holiday weekend from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic region and all the way into the Northeast U.S., and unsettled over the Rockies as well as the southwestern states going into the upcoming holiday weekend. And again, this is the Monday morning forecast a week from now. By this time it should certainly be cooler than normal from the Midwest into the northeastern part of the nation, and a lot of rainfall over the next 5 to 7 days or so for much of the eastern two-thirds of the nation. Continued extreme heat out in the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia for another couple of days or so. That's it for now for Paraton Weather. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.